like
Yeah,
such
I
a
can.
dork.
Oh, now she cut herself off.
Nope, there I'm back. I'm looking for gallery view, but
Looking for buttons to press.
yeah, exactly. Oh, wait, now I'm looking behind. Oh, now you have a view of where I'm plugged in.
Well, I have a
No.
gallery view. I don't know what I'm doing either here. Let's see.
I said, are you on a laptop, Cyndy?
Yes.
Okay, pull your top of your laptop down there you go. Hi, honey. I'm recording this, by the way. I thought I might as well just hit record early.
Yeah, then you can just laugh at us.
That's right. So I can laugh at you. Oh, this is fabulous. I'm so excited.
No parking, Rose.
Julie's on here. I don't know who Julie is, but Eileen.
So, yes, Eileen.
No, this is Eileen. Oh. Little levity.
Yes, and whoever else is on here, feel free to just, enter a chat and let us know where you're from. That would be great. Eileen has unmuted herself. Speak, Eileen, if you're going to unmute yourself.
I don't think my microphone works.
Oh, yes, it did.
We heard you, Eileen.
I didn't.
I heard her.
Oh, she's muted herself. Okay, so if you want to tell us where you're from, just go ahead and chat in there. So, ladies, I just want to show this, if I can do this now, share a screen. I love this screen, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
That's
good. Now I'm not looking at myself anymore. That's good.
We still see you up in the top.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's all right. I see you down at the bottom.
Anyway, I just think that's so cool. And I spent some time looking over everything, and what was really cool. Oops, not that one.
Oh, now we got email.
Not intentionally. Let's see. Where was I going? I was going to Women in Poker Hall of Fame is what I was looking for.
Eileen's coming to Vegas tonight.
Yeah? Cool.
She said she's getting on a plane. She's in
I'm already here.
Not you, Eileen.
She's in Cali? Oh, right now?
Yeah.
Oh, woo. Okay, so as I recall, Miss Linda, you were one of the original Women in Poker Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Yeah, 2008. And then 2009, Cyndy and Jan.
Yeah, and June.
And June.
And June, yes, and June. I wish we had June on with us.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get started. Where do you want to start? Who wants to talk first?
You choose.
Okay, I'll choose. Any, many, let's see. What I'd like to do is let's just talk about, there was a question that came in that said, do you believe that women are treated more fair in most poker rooms today as opposed to when you were first starting out? It's a long time ago. Linda, you started laughing. Why don't you chime in on that?
Oh, well, I'm not really the speakers here, but it's definitely true that they're treated better today. We were sort of second-class citizens, and a lot of abuse back in the old days. And I'm talking about in the 70s and 80s. But today, I think it's pretty good for women in the poker room.
Mm-hmm. Cyndy, how about you? What have you found that has transpired over the years?
Yeah, I agree with what Linda said too. It was a little different back in the 80s for me. I started playing poker in 1980, 85, around there. And not that I really had any major issues or anything. Everybody, the people that ran the poker rooms always treated me well. But some of the players had a hard time with women at the table. So not a lot, but much more than men now for sure. They've been more accepted in the poker world with all these things that have been going on with tournaments and stuff, and a lot more women are playing now. So,
how about you, Jan?
I don't know that the word fairly would be a correct articulation of what is actually happening. But I think that, especially for Cyndy and Linda and me, and probably you too, Donna, that because people know who we are or know that we're industry people, we may not be subjected to some of the inequalities that are still going on that I was very aware of back in the 70s when I started in poker. Yes, Cyndy, I am older than you. Hard to believe. And back in the day, women were definitely treated as second-class citizens. I'm certainly not experiencing that at all now. I think that women still do to some extent when they're, Jane Q. public, if that makes any sense.
Sure, that makes perfect sense to me. I mean, I've generally been treated somewhat differently over the years. And, it probably has to do with the fact that I'm taller than most of the men. So,
They have to look up
More
to you.
intimidating.
I mean, I can remember when I first started playing poker in the late 90s. It was up in Tunica, Mississippi, and my husband was at the 2040 limit hold'em. Oh, what a wonderful game! And
Still is.
it still is.
Absolutely.
And people we never came in together, and people did not know that we were husband and wife, and they'd say, "Who's that big girl over there?" So that's where big girl poker came from, by the way, is because you say that big girl. And
They didn't ask you who that little guy was, did they?
No, not generally. Not generally. And when they asked me, how tall my husband is, and I said, well, he comes up to about, I'm 6 feet 5 inches tall, and he's 5'3", and he's about, excuse me, girls, he's about tit high, and they just go, ah!
He still towers over me.
Yeah. So, what's the one thing that needs to happen today, do you think, that will help women in the poker industry?
Wow, that's a good question. I guess for one thing, men kind of need to stop acting stupid around women, but by the same token, women need to stop acting stupid around men. It does kind of work both directions. When you have women who are acting like the weaker sex, then you have men who are going to be more condescending towards them. So I think it works both ways.
Or if they even think of it as an issue, really, poker is nothing about sex. I mean,
exactly.
If we would just stop even talking about it, maybe it would help. It really shouldn't be an issue.
Good point.
Poker cards are cards. There's nothing to do with being male or female. So.
And I think that's a perfect mindset, Cyndy. And I think people need to get to that point and realize that it doesn't have to do with that. I know one of my coaching clients had said that she was dealing with she was feeling like a victim. And I said, what do you mean feeling like a victim? She felt like she was being bullied. And I said, now, wait a minute. You're putting yourself in a victim mindset.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden she said, well, wait a minute. I think you're right. And it changed her game entirely.
The other thing, if they do make you feel uncomfortable, it's all their ego. You can take advantage of it. That means
absolutely
they're worse against you. They're not going to be in, playing their game if it's bothering them anyway. So it's an advantage to women if men don't like women at the poker table, or if they have some ego thing against you. So
yeah, it seems like men want you there as long as they're winning, but as soon as they're not winning, then it's a whole different ballgame.
Right. Well, if you beat them apart, they take it.
Yeah.
Don't take it as well from you as they would from a man.
Yeah, they don't like aggressive women.
Yeah.
Well, I'd kind of like to. We talk about aggression and how we actually need to take more. We need to take better care of ourselves. And one of the things that I was just trying to find some visuals to share. And let me see where share my screen. And this is a Twitter that I had shared. And I don't need therapy. I just need to go on a poker cruise. And
there you go. Now you're playing the game.
And I'd like to talk about and share with everyone the benefits of going on a poker cruise, because I love the poker cruises, and I want you to share with me what people like about it, or explain about a poker cruise. I mean, I could go into it forever, but I want you to tell me what you find that people really like about it?
If you think you could go on about it forever, imagine how long I could go on about it. Poker cruising is, you get all the benefits of a first-class poker room combined with a first-class cruise all in one. You can play as much poker as you want, as little poker as you want. You can do as many of the ship activities as you want. As far as the people on the ship know, you're just another cruiser. But for the poker players, we're a private interest group. You have to book with Card Player Cruises to join the group. And the beauty of our poker room, not that there aren't a lot of brick and mortar card rooms that do the same thing, but our poker room is 100% no abuse, 100% top notch, well run by professional dealers, professional floor, professional tournament directors. Linda Johnson and I host every cruise, and if we give beginner lessons for absolute beginners, starting with this is the button, these are the blinds, this is how you play, and everything between that and professional poker players. Most of our customers are recreational players, and even some of the very good players who go on the cruise with us are on vacation, and they do a lot of drinking, and they do a lot of gambling, and the games are amazing, and it's a very non-confrontational environment to play poker. So it's a very good place for people to get their feet wet if they haven't played poker before, or if they haven't played a lot of poker. And it's also, it's very professionally run for those people who play every day and want to be sure that they're getting a good product.
And you're absolutely right. I love the environment. I love the camaraderie. The staff is just fantastic. Of course, having you and Linda at the top of the helm. I mean, you are my heroes in poker. I don't know if you remember or not, but it was 1999.
I do remember it. I remember a lot about that. You took a little time out after that, didn't you?
1999, when the timeout was in 2000, but 1999 when I met you all in Philadelphia, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
And
Dan Higginbotham was running the card room.
That's right. And it's like, I just wanted to know who you were, and you're going, who is this? I was like writing for another publication. I didn't care. I just wanted to spend time with Jan and Linda. I wanted to get to know you all, and that was fabulous. And I really want to thank you for being the role models, and Cyndy, you too, being the role models in the industry. It's just wonderful.
Well, thank you. And back at you, because you're certainly someone I look up to. But no, you've certainly from writing very beginner columns that you were doing back then to being the mindset coach that you are now. It's been an honor to know you and get to know you better and feel like we're family at this point, and have been for a long time.
Yeah, my mother, Mama Peggy, has adopted you and Linda. She considers you her daughter. Cyndy, yep. You should meet Mother. I mean, she's at 92 today. She's like more 50. She can actually work a 50-year-old man into the ground in the garden. I
remember sharing a car ride with you somewhere across Florida a million years ago, and I had just been given my first scuba dive watch, and I was so excited. And I remember I was in the back seat of the car, and I believe I was sitting behind you, so I had virtually no room for my legs because the seat was all the way against the back seat. And I was so excited about the dive watch. That was all I was concerned with, luckily, because there wasn't much room to sit. That was a lifetime ago. And Mama Peggy was with us, and that was good time, good memories.
So let me ask you this. If someone is going to be planning for a poker cruise, what do they need to, what would they do to plan for one?
Well, first of all, they should get a passport.
Okay.
Because there are ways around the passport requirement, but for the most part, everybody should have a passport in this day and age anyway. But what should you plan for? Well, you should plan to have a good time. You should book the cruise early so that you get the best choice of cabins. When we first advertise a cruise, we have the best pricing and the best availability as far as location as well as type of cabin. As it gets closer to the sale date, prices do tend to go up, and we are at the mercy of the daily pricing that the cruise line has, because we have to give our cabins that we haven't sold back to them at a certain date. Otherwise, we risk having to pay and buy them and pay for them in full, whether we sell them or not. So, and we don't like to get caught with cabins that we can't sell. So booking early There's also, it's pretty easy to book early because up to 90 days ahead of the cruise, you can get 100% of your deposit back. So you can book today and think about it tomorrow and decide the next day what you want to do.
Well, let me ask you this. How much, in relationship to food, because I know food is astonishing on the cruises, but how much vegan food? How do I ask that? Cyndy, how do I say vegan food? I don't know. Explain to me vegan. Help me. Yeah.
Is no meat and no dairy.
No meat and no dairy. I can do without the meat, but without the yogurt, that really gives me pause, but that's okay.
Everything. There's vegan cheeses, there's vegan yogurt,
Yep.
there's vegan milk, everything. You can do vegan. Same thing with meat. You could actually, have Philly sandwiches and meatballs and ribs, everything, but it's vegan.
I've eaten it at Cyndy's restaurant, and it's amazing.
We had a great meal at Cyndy's restaurant. Violette's vegan.
Yep.
Yeah.
But just going back to the question, any sort of special dietary requirement can be made to work on a cruise. They can do kosher, they can do vegan, they can do vegetarian, because I know that is actually different than vegan. They can do any kind of diet. We just like to order it ahead of time.
Now that anywhere can.
What, Cyndy, say it again, please.
I said vegan's so popular now that every place you go pretty much will accommodate vegan, or they have vegan menus and things. So
yeah, just like they have gluten-free and everything.
Restaurants have vegan menus now.
So what's the difference in vegetarian and vegan?
Vegetarian is no meat, but they eat dairy.
Okay. And what's the benefit of vegan?
Vegan is, well, from my knowledge and everything I've always learned is that meat is not good for your health, and so is dairy. And plus you're killing animals and stuff.
I know.
Yeah, and you don't have to. So, I'm not going to preach or anything, though. I just
no, please preach a while. No, that's you have your pulpit right now. Preach, please. So what would you take?
Information out on the internet now. People just could YouTube it or Google it or whatever, and there's so much information on dairy and meat.
I don't want to YouTube it. I want to Cyndy it.
Okay. Okay. Well, what do you want? I mean.
Yeah. Tell me. Tell me the benefits to your body.
Well, first of all, dairy is very clogging to the system. And it's filled with a lot of antibiotics and steroids and things that the cows are given before they produce the milk. Chemicals are in there, a lot of stuff in there that, honestly, if you really knew, you probably wouldn't drink it. And same thing with meat, the way the production of it, and you're eating an animal, which, it's not intended for us to do, is eat animals. And, it's like, we're not supposed to be eating cow's milk. Cow's milk is for a baby cow. Well, by design through nature. We're supposed to drink mother's milk for a little while and wean off of it, and that's it. That's our milk. It's designed for us. But a cow is designed for a cow, a baby cow.
Yeah, and I know that about being weaned, and you're not supposed to have milk after that. And interestingly enough, I believe that, but I know the cheese comes from the milk.
Maybe you wouldn't have gotten so tall if you'd have quit eating that stuff.
I mean, I grew up on it. I grew up on meat and dairy and everything. But the more I learned and educated myself, and everything made sense to me. And that's when and this was the early 90s before it was a fad or anybody was as, into it at that point. And that's where I had the vision to open a vegan restaurant. I was like, wow, this is amazing and it's good. And I wanted to bring awareness to people that you don't need to eat this way and you could still have great food. And that was my inspiration and my drive to do this. It was just like
And your restaurant does have great food. I've eaten there, and
you got to come back now. It's changed a lot since you've been there.
Oh, I know it has. I've seen the pictures of it, but yeah, I definitely need to go back. But it was it was wonderful, and it was amazing when I was there because I do not eat vegan, but I've had some amazing vegan meals, and eating at your place was certainly among them.
Thank you.
Well, I love I love your website.
So the picture, oh, there we go. Oh, there we go.
That's colorful.
Yeah.
Makes me hungry. Wait a minute. That's not fair.
Yeah, I love this. Oh, and it's really interesting. I was reading the original article when I announced that you were opening the vegan restaurant a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, right?
3.5 years.
Oh my, has it been that long?
Yeah.
Oh God. And I love this. She said, "Here's my competition. I'm feeding them healthy food that helps them beat me." I love that. And you know, it is true, because in this, you spend 12 hours a stretch sitting in a chair and breathe. I'm so glad they don't smoke in casinos. Oh, goodness gracious. I am
In
so
poker rooms, they do in casinos.
Yes, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. But I was really, I think one of the things that people don't understand about competing is, even though you're sitting there, you have to be in an athletic frame of mind, and your body has to be physically fit.
Yeah.
And I think people don't understand. So many people don't understand that. I guess it's a good thing that so many people don't understand.
Nowadays, for sure. But back in the day, it wasn't a thing where, where I always felt it was very important to prepare before playing, working out, eating good, meditating, visualizing what you want to create. All that I've been doing that for years. But now it's, a lot more people are doing that now, I believe, anyway, from articles I've seen here and there. And from coaches like you. So.
Yeah, you got to stop teaching people to be healthier, because that's messing with the bottom line for the rest of us.
Yeah, I'm going, well, we're showing, there was a man.
That's how I prepare for poker, especially tournaments and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's
what would you tell people that they need to do about preparing for a tournament, Cyndy?
Well, I would just say what I would do, and it works for me, is I always make sure I work out before. And I don't mean like a heavy workout, but just like a 30-minute treadmill. And while I'm on the treadmill, I'm listening to positive affirmations. I'm visualizing what I want to create. I've been doing a lot of tapping lately. Are you familiar with tapping?
I'm a certified EFT.
Okay, I do that.
Yeah.
With life things too, not just poker nowadays, because my priority isn't poker anymore. It's the restaurant. But I do I think it's to me, it's like, I won't go to a tournament if I don't have time to prepare. I always allot, a couple hours to prepare, make sure I eat good, bring food with me.
When did you come across tapping?
Long time ago.
Really?
When it was EFT back when, I forget the lady's name, but.
Craig, the original guy was Craig something. And
there was a lady too that.
EFT, emotional freedom technique.
Correct. Yeah. Can't think of the name of the person either, but yeah, a long time ago. But I've been doing a lot more lately. Have you ever heard of Brad Gates?
Yes.
I listen to him all the time. And Margaret Lynch.
Yes.
Yeah.
So explain to people what you would do with the tapping.
It's hard to explain. You probably could explain it better, but it's like you're tapping on your pressure points, mm-hmm. and it changes the pattern of maybe some stuck energy that you've had on certain issues, like can't win over a certain amount of money, or just for instance, or I don't know, I can't think of anything else. But anyway, so you tap, you have this issue. First, you have to acknowledge that you have the issue, and you bring it up. It's basically like bringing it up with the conversation to yourself, and then you say, but I love myself even though I have this problem. But you're tapping, then you go through these sequences of tapping, and it's supposed to clear the blocks and energy that surrounds that issue. Would that be do you think that's a good explanation?
Yeah, it really is. Linda's up there tapping.
And I'm still wondering what kind of shoes I would wear, because I think you need special cap shoes.
Yeah, it's like this. What? No, it's tapping on your points on the meridians.
Yeah, you actually have 12 meridians and 365 points on each one of those meridians. Think of that. Where did that come from? And I've had 3 people brought that up today. three separate people had brought that up today, interestingly enough. And the fact that you bring it up, I was approached twice today about teaching people about tapping. And I'm going, I need to pull out my CDs. Is when the training was on CDs.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I had to pull back out the training and see this, I innately do the tapping. And so I just need to pull it back out to see how I would actually explain to people how to do that. But I think you did a really good job of it, because you bring up a situation that is a negative situation, and you acknowledge it, and tapping on this karate chop area, you acknowledge that, that karate chop area, and then you go through a sequence of tapping in specific areas, while you're saying, even though I might be frustrated at this, I love and unconditionally accept myself. And when I first came across that, there were a lot of people that were going, I can't say I unconditionally love and accept myself. I would never do that. And I'm going, just say it. And it was odd how so many people were having that as a barrier. But I was actually approached today to do a series, so I guess I better get my stuff back out and relearn it. I guess it's time to do that. Things keep coming 3 times in one day.
That means it's something, that's what do you call that?
Well, I'm really excited to hear that you've been using the tapping.
Yeah. Even while I'm playing, I put on the Brad Yates on my phone all the time and listen to it.
Yeah?
I feel myself sinking or going back into old patterns or something or whatever, something aggravates me or something, I go right to on my phone at the table.
Don't tap on the aquarium.
Isn't that the truth?
Not on the fish bulb.
So that's interesting, because you said feel yourself sinking or going back into old patterns. That's a wonderful way to explain it, because I think that's what we do, is that we seem like our energy starts to drain, and we find ourselves doing things that we know better, but those old patterns. Thank you very much for bringing it back up.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Donna, you asked earlier, I know I said I was going to shut up, but you know me, it's hard to, but you asked about how to get more women in the poker room.
Yes.
Something like that. And, I've had a really interesting experience this World Series that I've never had before. And it's a feeling that I'm invisible at the table. And normally when I go into a poker room, several people in the game will know who I am and I know who they are. But I've been playing in the high limit room at the World Series every day now, and I go in there, and it's mostly young kids. I'm playing the Omaha game, mostly, and by kids, I mean even into their 30s, 20s, 30s, maybe even 40s. But it's like they're polite. If I ask a question, they will definitely answer and give a smile, but then they go back to their chatter with their buddies at the table. And I'm the only woman in the table, and so I think one way that we could maybe get more women in the poker room is if the men would include them in conversation sometimes, and that's one reason I like ladies only tournaments is because it's a whole different atmosphere. But I've never experienced this feeling of being invisible at the table. I know Cyndy's playing in a different game in the same room, and there's only 4 or 5 women in that whole room. And I'm wondering if I think in Stud 8 it's a little bit friendlier. That's mostly what Cyndy's playing. But have you ever experienced that, Cyndy, where it's like you're invisible?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, this is the first time I haven't. It's just so weird. And most people know who you are, of course. And but I'm wondering if this is.
Players are a little different breed, I think.
Yeah,
but they're very dismissive.
Very dismissive. Like if I. Yeah. I obviously stand out because I'm an older woman, and if I was them, I would want to know something about why is this woman in here? It's obviously they don't know who I am, nor should they. But like, I would be curious if I were them to want to at least ask her, where are you from and why are you here or something. And it's so odd. I've never experienced anything like it before.
They're all on their phones all the time too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
They're more involved in playing a game on their phone and and what's going on in the tournaments and
right.
stuff like that. That's part of
Watching
it.
videos too, and
Yeah.
but it's like there's no engagement. And this is the first year I've experienced that.
But the younger generation, they're totally on their phones doing something. Yeah. They're playing Chinese poker or something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd like to bring up the fact that if any woman, anybody in the earshot of hearing this, please stay off your phone. Stay off your phone when you're at the table. You need to have your attention 100% in that game. People are playing a hand and then they, finish that hand, they go back to what they're watching. I mean, I saw someone watching a movie.
I can't believe people watching movies at the
And that's fine. I mean, go ahead and watch that. That's good. Do that, please. Here, let me open up another screen, watch something else too. But I'm just saying, if someone wants to really raise their game up, you have to disconnect yourself from that phone. That is one of the biggest problems in the poker industry, I believe, for anybody that really wants to be serious about the game, is that you really have to get your head in the game.
Yeah, I think it's important to engage people in conversation, because I've really been thinking about it a lot since it's such a new experience. And I was thinking, if I was a newbie who walked into a poker room and I sat down at the table and people didn't talk to me, I think a lot of reason people enjoy poker is because it is a social game. It always has been. And if that's becoming the trend now, it's a bad direction.
I agree. Yeah.
So go ahead, Jan.
I was going to say, and a lot of them, if they're not on their phone, they've got their headphones on and they're listening to music, and they're totally, a million miles away. They might be paying attention to the game, but they're not at all, trying to find out where somebody's from, where, what they do. I mean, it's a good way to get some information about what kind of player they might be. And one of the analogies that Linda and I would use when we used to teach for boot camp was that, when Daniel would ask the player next to him, well, what do you do for a living? And, if the guy said he was an accountant, then Daniel would put him in a certain box. Whereas if he said he was a race car driver, then he would know he was more enjoying risk, and he would be in a different box. So it would give him, just knowing something like that. And, it's important to ask people the questions, because usually they will tell you the truth, and you can get a line on what it is they're doing, before you've even played a hand with them.
Yeah. And, I think one of the things that I started doing when the internet was new was I started Googling players from day 1 to day 2 or day 2 to day 3. In 2007, I did it. I actually had a cousin who was Googling the people that were going to be at my table the next day in the main event. And I made a point of getting there early, and I started greeting people when they came to the table. I greeted them by name, and I would ask.
Well, that must have freaked them out.
I said, how's the weather and how's your family and whatever I'd have, and I would start this conversation, and it was a powerful place to be.
How are the 3 kids in that dog spot?
Yeah, kind of, sort of that, and people were going, what? And it really helped in relationship to creating that table image. And I think people need to really create that table image. And I think, as Linda was saying, engagement is really important.
Yeah. Most people don't win, and so they need to get something out of being there. And if they get an emotional hug, then that will keep them playing a lot. And I think it's important to to do that.
Yeah.
I like that. Another question that came up, and let me check and see if Lupe had gotten any other questions. The one that came up was, I want to learn mixed games, and this is when I thought it'd be great to talk with you, Cyndy. What do you recommend she does and lose the least amount of money while she's learning to play mixed games?
What's the question?
She wants to learn to play mixed games. And how do you recommend she goes about learning mixed games and lose the least amount of money while she's...
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I don't know her skill level. I don't know if she's coming from what game she's coming from to learn mixed games. But I would say obviously find the cheapest limit and learn there. See if you can find
and talk to people who play the games.
Right, first.
And be sure that you know what the rules are of the game before you sit down, as far as, like if you're playing in a horse game or something, know that instead you can bet a double bet on 4th Street with an open pair. Just little nuances like that you should learn, just so that you are prepared when you get to the table and you don't ask questions that, most people are afraid to look stupid, whereas actually if you ask a question and look stupid at the table, that's probably better for your table image. But definitely, as Cyndy said, find the smallest game you can.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many videos and training camps online and forums, and also, I would say go play in the free games, just so that you free games online, and so you get some experience before you actually sit down and play for real money.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny, no matter how long you've been in the industry. I played in a mixed game last year. I had a house guest who wanted to play in this game, and for some strange reason, I went out with him at 11 o'clock at night and played in a mixed game that had games that I couldn't even name, games that I had no idea how to play, games like Archie and triple stud Raz Doogie and all this stuff that I couldn't parrot back to the rules that I learned that night when I played one hand of it or one rotation of it. And I mean, there are so many different games now. Kind of what I've done as far as what I'll play is, if they didn't play it in the World Series of Poker before about 1990, I don't want to know it. I don't care about knowing it. I'm an older person and my brain cells are dying off quicker than I can replace them. And it's too much overload. These guys who want to play all these games, it's just more stuff to gamble at and more rules to confuse people. If you want to learn to play a mixed game, I would, suggest that you start out with horse, just kind of the 5 main variations that have existed in poker since the beginning of time. And then start getting into the, games like Archie and, and Dramaha. And
Dramaha is crazy. I just learned that recently. I don't like it though.
What's it called?
Dramaha.
Dramaha?
Yeah.
And Dramaha. And what is draw game? It's what?
It's really Dramaha. So it's Dramaha,
yeah.
Omaha, and draw.
Got it.
I don't even want to explain it because it's crazy.
It's nuts.
I hate it. I played it, but I don't like it.
Well, there's a really big cash game in my area. There's a room that opened up near where you all have friends in the Villages in Florida. Mm-hmm. And have you been here since Oxford Downs opened?
No, I haven't been there in probably 2.5 years.
Yeah, well, since then, there's been a small room that's opened in relationship to a horse racing track. They actually race quarter horses for one month out of the year, so they get the license.
Right.
And it's a great small room. And they have... the Omaha had their high-low had been really pot limit Omaha high-low, and then they changed it to Big O, where you get 5 cards.
That's a good change.
Oh,
you don't know how to play it.
Let me tell you what, it is just crazy, man. It is just absolutely crazy.
And back to your original question on what you can do to prepare for these games. Linda Johnson and I have gone to California to play a mixed game that we kind of happened upon, and it's a 3-game mix, and one of the games is Badoogie, and neither one of us had ever played Badoogie before, so we went to Google and asked Google about Badoogie. We knew the rules of the game, but we didn't know the strategy, and it's amazing how what a great explanation of how to play the game and what some of the the good plays and how to play it as a winner. And just by doing what Google said and playing with that with those hints in mind, we were able to at least do pretty well in the game the first 2 or 3 rotations, and after that probably were the best 2 players at the table. And that's pretty much true for any of the games. You can find stuff on Google that would talk about how to play the game and what's a good play and what's a bad play and starting hands and things not to do and things you should do. And it's a pretty good way to find out what a good strategy in the game would be.
Yep.
I think that's good. And actually, That I loved horse, absolutely loved horse, and was doing really, really well before Black Friday hit us. So it was. I haven't been as good live as I was online. I think it has to do with the speed of the players, and I haven't played. I've only played a couple of those live. But you're doing really well in mixed games, aren't you, Cyndy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and tomorrow you're playing what game? You're playing the
Omaha and Stud 8 or better. It's a half and half tournament. 2,500 buy-in the World Series.
Cool.
Wow, that'd be a good game for you, Cyndy.
Yeah,
right in your wheelhouse.
You're not going to play?
I'm not playing any tournaments this year. No, I just for me they're a bad investment because you young whippersnappers are too tough for us older folks. I got to have my nap in the afternoon. I can't play as long as I used to. I lose my focus and get tired, and arthritis hurts.
Yeah.
I need Metamucil on tap.
So tell me what you would like to share with women that in poker accept that the thing that I'm hearing is stop thinking about being a different at the game, about being a woman. Just learn how to play the game
and just be a player.
Yep, exactly.
And and I think a lot of novice players, not just women, but novice players in general, play the victim role. They play, they expect to get the worst of it, and so it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you go into a game with confidence and act confident, even if you're not on the inside, show it on the outside, your results might be better, and certainly the way people react to you will be better, and people will probably give you more respect.
And stay positive, obviously. Lose a pot, don't complain, and talk about bad beats and all that stuff. It's like
when you start talking about bad beats, I know when I'm at the table, I just hope you lose the next pot too. You tell me you've lost the last 11 flushes you drew at. I hope you lose the next 11, especially if I'm in the pot. Hope you never win a pot.
Yeah, when I first started in the poker industry over 20 years ago, oh my goodness.
Over 40 for me, so don't.
Yeah, but I am older than you are. I'm the oldest one here, by the way.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. And Linda said I look 10 years younger with my hair like this. So it's not blonde, by the way. That's white. That's naturally white.
We'll just call you Snow White.
Call me Snow White. I was going to say something and it slipped my mind. It'll come back.
See, that's because you're the oldest one here.
Yeah, you just affirmed it. So
yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much for saying that. So, that's it. When I started out in the poker industry, my husband said that if anyone came up to him and wanted to share a bad beat, he would turn around and say, "I'll be happy to listen to a bad beat, but give me a green chip," which is a $25 chip. And it's what he always did. And I started doing that. And it's really interesting how people shut up when you ask that. Yeah. But actually, I've gotten some $25 chips to listen to. Do you believe that?
Boy, they must have really needed to unload.
So if you were to pick out the best, you were saying that the tournaments aren't as good an investment for you now because of the requirement for stamina and energy. What would you say would be the best way to select the type of games or tournaments that might be good for a player to play?
Well, for me, I know that like the World Series events are bad investments for me because they give you a lot of play. There's so many entries, and most of the tournaments are 3-day events. Whereas you can play in a one-day event where, even if you really stretch yourself thin on day one, you can get to the final table, win the tournament, and don't have to worry about being back the next day at noon. It's the day after day that's very difficult for me. Even playing the cash, I don't play every day. And when I do play, I might play 12 hours or so, but I'm not playing 15 hours. I'm not playing 18 hours, which could be required of you. So look at the structure of a tournament, look at how long the levels are. Another thing is I look how long it is between breaks. I much prefer an event that has either like an hour and 40 between the breaks or an hour and 30 between breaks rather than 2 hours. And it's not just a matter of the fact that I drink a lot of iced tea and I have to use the restroom, but I need to stand up and stretch. I need to clear my head. I need to get some fresh air. So the structure is very important to me. How long the tournament is going to last is important to me. And so the tournaments that have the really, really good structures are not necessarily the best event for me personally.
Yeah, I agree with that in relationship to what's a better tournament to pick. Locally, unfortunately, the local tournaments are always the levels are so short. Mm-hmm. And so it's a bad investment. You have to be very careful about it. I mean, who would have thought that having a 30-minute level is now a real plus? Because I mean, it's a joke.
But I've just also found that I enjoy the cash games better. You can play a tournament very, very well and never get to the money. I mean, eventually you may get to the money, but it's hard to win a tournament. It's hard to even cash in a tournament. Whereas if you're a pretty good cash game player and you are picking the correct game for your skill set, you can make some money in it. It's hard to make money playing tournaments. It's very, very difficult.
Yeah, I only play during the World Series and I pick and choose. I'm only I used to play every single one. Now I just play maybe 6 during the whole World Series, 6 or 7. I still enjoy them, but I don't play in many anymore. Pick and choose.
Do you do cash play now?
I prefer cash games, yeah.
What kind of games do you play in cash?
The 50 and 100 OE, which is Omaha and Stud 8, or the Stud 8, or the Bellagio. We had a 50 and 100 stud the other day too. That range, 50 and 100, 7-card stud, 7-card 8 or better, and Omaha, or mix, or all the games. I play the Badoogie, the Badesi, the 40-80 mix at the Bellagio, all those games in there. Deuce to 7, triple draw, Archie.
You like playing in the King's Lounge, Jan and Cyndy?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not crazy about those tables. They're kind of.
Yeah, I don't like the tables or the chairs.
But other than that,
other than that, I mean, everyone's saying about how comfortable the chairs are. Well, that's fine if you're Donna's size, but when you're my size, I have to bring a shopping bag full of cushions because I can't see up over the table, and I need 3 under me and 2 behind me, and and in the stud 8 or better, it's not bad. But when you put 9 chairs around those tables, as soon as the person next to you moves at all, it bumps your chair and kind of spins you around. So yeah. I'm not finding the accoutrements of the room all that comfortable for me personally, but the room is nice. There's plenty of space between the tables. They've got tables behind you for your food or for your drinks. They are providing meals and like a cappuccino machine that you can help yourself. So there are a lot of pluses for playing in there, but creature comfort for me is not one of them. For most people, it is.
So where's the King's Lounge?
It's in the pavilion at the Rio. It's just when you walk in from the rotunda, it's up on the right-hand side, and they've put it into a special room, and they've made it.
And they have better dealers, and they run through there than they do in the other game. Well,
sometimes they do.
I know. Some are
sometimes,
good.
Not always.
They're terrible out there. The other ones are horrible.
Well, yeah, I've played both out and in, and it's I've seen a couple coming where if I wasn't paying so much in time collection, I would probably lobby for that half hour. But when there are so many events going on in town at the same time, I mean, there's a half a dozen casinos that have amazing series of poker tournaments right now. It's hard to have enough dealers. I mean, there's probably 1,500 poker dealers having temporary work right now in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
At least that many, and it's crazy. I mean, there's just not that many great dealers.
No.
I think if
the tables and the chairs and the dealers and the shuffle machines and
I like the shuffle machines. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So if someone is going to Las Vegas during the World Series, as far as I'm concerned, it's like you were saying. There's so many other tournaments that are available, and that's one of the things that I found. It was that you could find fantastic tournaments.
Oh, absolutely.
In the $250 to $500 range buy-in, they're great tournaments. Single single day tournaments, and I like those better too than the 2-day tournaments or 3-day tournaments.
Yep. And there's something for everybody. I mean, if you can't find an event that you like in Vegas right now, then you just aren't looking for a good event.
There's a lot of value in those deep stacks. They're running 3 times a day at the World Series and they're 1-day events. And I mean, the prize pools are just huge.
Unbelievable. Yeah. For like $200, you can win like what, 50,000?
Yeah, that's crazy.
A day, every day they go off. Like a few of them a day, I think.
3 times a day, I think.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
But I mean, there's also
the patience for that. I don't have the patience.
The Venetian and the Aria and the Orleans and the Golden Nugget and Planet Hollywood. I mean, there are so many different series around town, and each one has a different price point. Each one has a different structure. I mean, there really is something for everybody, and it's just amazing. It's just amazing what's going on in Las Vegas right now. Too bad it's not like this every day. I was looking at Bravo the other day, and there was more than 180 cash games in Las Vegas at that time that I looked. I'm like, where are all these players the rest of the year? Because, I mean, it's like Omaha. I know that Linda and Cyndy and I all love to play Limit Omaha. And it's like, where are these players? We can't get an Omaha game in Las Vegas, until the World Series next year for all the different properties. And it's, there's so many people in town right now. 190 cash games. That's crazy.
Oh, that really is crazy.
You can't get a stud 8 or better game during the year at all.
Exactly. Same point. Same thing.
It's like we get 2 and 3 games a day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we've got a nice crowd on here. We've got about, and I'd like to, if anyone has something that they'd like to ask, just go ahead and put it in the chat.
They're all muted. Do they know they can unmute themselves and say hi?
I don't
Maybe
know.
they're afraid of saying something offensive, like I might do.
I will start unmuting them and see if they. Let's see. Let me, Lori. I'm going to unmute you.
How about Jana? Is that Jana from California? She's muted, so she can't.
She's muted. She ain't saying. But I did just see her in Vegas 3 days ago.
Let's see, Heidi. I'll let you.
Unmuted.
If somebody wants to unmute yourself. they're not going, no, I'm not going to unmute myself. Joni Short, unmute yourself. Julie, got a 512 and a 617. And by the way, I'm on there twice. If you wonder why Donna is on there twice, because I wanted to log on with my phone to see what it would look like.
Because you want to ask questions on one and answer them on the other. I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really thrilled to see these people talking. I watched Cyndy on TV winning her bracelet, and I've seen Linda play.
And who is this?
This is Heidi.
Hello, Heidi.
Hi.
Hey, Heidi.
Hi. And Jan, I've seen your name before, and it's just fun. And I've listened to some of your podcasts, Donna, so it's just fun to listen and kind of maybe not participate as much. I don't know. I'll be there I'll be there on Monday night. So I'm just going to figure out what tournaments to play and what cash games to play, but I'm not a high roller. I'm not.
Okay. Are you going to the luncheon Tuesday?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. And that's another reason why I wanted to go Monday night. When I saw that luncheon, I thought, my gosh, that would be really, really a fun event, seeing Daniel Negreanu introduce or honor Maria Ho. And I mean, it'll be really I said to my husband, I'm going.
Make sure you say hi to us.
Yeah.
Okay, I will.
She's talking about the Women in Poker Hall of Fame, and the luncheon is at 11 o'clock on Tuesday at the Orleans. You can buy tickets for that at womeninpokerhalloffame.com, and I think they're $50 now, and it's very close to being sold out. So thanks for throwing that softball out there, Heidi. We appreciate that.
Yeah, is there anything, Heidi, that you would like answered right now? Some question you'd like to throw out to pick the final, the cobwebs out of these beautiful brains I have on here?
No, I mean, I was thinking when you brought up the question of how can you get more women playing and so on. I mean, the first live tournament I played was at Binion's in the 90s, and I was one of maybe 2 or 3 people playing at that time, and women. And I think it's just because the testosterone is so high that you have to just learn how to ignore it and kind of not respond to a certain extent. Not to be, not necessarily to be abused, but just to shrug it off and say, this simply doesn't impact me, the testosterone levels that are flying around. And I think what Linda was saying about the young guys, I think they're more interested in beating each other than they are in noticing whether or not you're playing well. And so when you do trap them or something, when you do check raise or whatever, you start noticing that they're playing hyper aggressive and they're always raising, and you simply decide to trap them. I've actually found, and I'm hesitant about this, and I'd like your opinion on it. I've actually found that if I play initially, if I appear to be loose passive, then they will assume that I'm a loose passive player, that I'm in my 50s. They'll assume that I'm an older woman who doesn't know how to play very well, and then I can start becoming aggressive, and it takes them a while for them to realize that I'm actually playing well. And I think it's one way to try to fool the young guns into not considering you to not be competition. So I wonder, does anybody else ever feel like that would be a strategy, or is that just me being goofy?
Well, it depends if they're paying attention or not. A lot of times they're not paying attention, so whatever your strategy is, it doesn't matter. But I think what you're describing is a valid strategy for, if you want to make them think you're this type of player and you're really that type of player. Anytime you can fool your opponents, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think it sounded like a really good strategy. But I think the case is that you just have to figure out what kind of players they are, and figure out what you need to do in order to be able to be a sniper. I think it's all about being a sniper, waiting for the right opportunity.
Adjusting to the situation. If they think you're one way, then you can use that to your advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the situation is, always.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard for Linda or Cyndy because, they've got the WSOP bracelet. So it's pretty hard to fool anybody if they're paying attention. But for the most part, people don't pay attention. And so you can reinvent yourself every time you go out.
Exactly.
Well, I think a lot of players are playing only numerical and calculation strategy. They're not playing the people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're just playing cards.
That's from
Maybe that's old school.
Online.
I don't know if
Play
playing people.
Huh? I said they're probably used to playing online. They're from that.
Oh, yeah.
That's where they learned, and that's a lot of their poker. It wasn't about people. It was more about the analytics of the game and everything.
Yeah.
That's part of it, maybe.
Okay, well, thank you so much for hopping on. That's really great to come on, Heidi. Anybody else like to jump on and say a word or two, or hello, or how are you, or what you'd like to know? They're going.
Hi, Lori Smith. We see you.
Hi, Lori. Come on, Lori.
Hey, what do all of y'all think about the woman that just won the Super Seniors tournament?
Oh,
Was that awesome?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Who won?
Yeah.
We can't pronounce her name.
Her last name was Violette.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, she beat a huge field, and she's the first woman to win a bracelet this year. There was another woman who came in second in the Omaha tournament, but Miss Vignati got herself a bracelet. It's awesome.
That's great.
Well done.
I always like to hear that. Women are winning.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've been, of course, I'm in Texas, so I'm online looking to see if any of my friends or any women are playing in the WSOP tournaments. A lot of them are playing, like you said, at different venues because there's better value there for them, or it's just better for some of the girls if they want to play and not in the bigger WSOP tournaments. But anyway, I'm checking it online, and I'm real disappointed that there's not very many women. There's still not.
There's not.
But I kind of understand too that, you know, unless they've got quite a bit of experience, they're not going to go. $1,000 is a big buy-in for a lot of these women, so they're going to play the deep stack, you know, the 250 or the 150. Or
and it's a better value for them, and it's a better value for most.
It is.
And unfortunately, only 5 or 6% of the entries this year at the World Series are women, and less than 4% the last 2 years have been women in the main event. Fewer than 4%.
Yeah, and I do believe that a woman will win the main event. Now, I don't know when. I hope it's this year.
I don't think I'm going to see it. I hope so.
Then that'll definitely get other women to play.
Are any of you playing the main event?
I am.
Not.
You are?
Yeah,
Go get them, Cyndy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will be railing you, Cyndy.
All right.
If I win enough money on any of the other stuff, then I will.
All right, great. You can always play a satellite too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I've always thought that it always made better sense for me to leverage in through a satellite because it helped me be more comfortable with the game, and it helped me to get my head around that. And I know it's harder to get in because the levels are really fast, but I felt like I always did better when I satellited in.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to share with everyone. Let me just share a screen. And Jan and Linda, actually, I sent them the first proof copies of Mindshift on Demand, which is
highly recommended.
Did tell me what you found that was good about that?
Well, I think just being able to focus and be positive is so important to your game. Much more important than I ever gave the value to it.
Yep, and cutting out the noise.
Cool.
Yeah. But everyone should have that in their poker library for sure.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm thrilled that I was able to get it up on Amazon, and there's.
They can go to your website too and get it, can't they? BigGirlPoker.com.
Yeah, actually, they can, but if they go to Mindshift on Demand, and I really do need to put a link up from Big Girl Poker, but the MindShiftOnDemand.com. What I did was, if you scroll down, I actually have an opt-in here with a 4-minute audio of one of the Mindshift exercises, and people find that they really like that because they like to listen to how to do a Mindshift exercise. And then they can just click through here and go to Amazon. It's available on Amazon. But what I did was it's available in print, but I also have it up on Kindle, and I have it set up right now so that when you get the Kindle's $10, but when you get the print, when you get the print, it'll give you the option of picking the Kindle up for 99 cents on top of that. And
that's a good deal.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. So I want to thank you all for hopping on and being with me for the third Thursday talks for Women's Poker Association.
Who's next month? Do you know?
Pardon me?
Do you know who next month will be on?
Hang on, and I will tell you. Maybe I might.
You know what's sad is I was just on the website and I looked. I saw where Matt did one of them, but I couldn't tell you what's up for next time. Brain cells just fly out the window.
No, they're just temporarily at something that I learned, by the way, in relationship to words that you say. It's really important that I've gotten rid of 2 words in my vocabulary, which is forget and forgot. And, oh, there's your baby. I love your baby there, Cyndy. Yeah. So sweet. Because when I would say I forget or I forgot, that would anchor that in the subconscious. So No, they do not. I do not know. We do not know yet who's coming up next month.
Okay. Well, Eileen just said hi to everyone.
Thank you, and thank you so much. And you know, you can reach me on Facebook.com, Big Girl Poker, and be sure to follow Cyndy Violette on Twitter and for Twitter and
Facebook.
Jan, you are
on Twitter, Jan_Fisher, and I'm also Jan Fisher on Facebook.
_ and Linda, you are
First Lady Poker on Twitter and Linda Johnson on Facebook.
That's right. And follow us all, and share our stuff and ask questions. I think that's the most important thing, is to ask questions. I think in social media, one of the things that we need to do is to engage in conversation. And if you have a question, post it on timeline and ask. And I want to thank you all for being here. And Linda.
Thank you for having us, Donna.
Cyndy, it's just sweethearts. I love this. We have to do this more often, by the way.
Absolutely. That was a fast hour.
See there?
That was a fast hour.
I love you all.
Pat. Okay.
Pat, okay. I'll get the tapping thing out. Thank you for
I'm tapping out. Bye.
Thank you for helping me know that I need to pull that out, and I'm going to do a training for poker players on tapping. Okay.
I'm going to put my shoes on and go dancing right now.
Okay. I love you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Buddy.